So here we are live on YouTube, and here I start the webinar on Zoom. So we usually give a minute's time, Milind, so that the students can start joining us.
Right. I get that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we expecting students to join the Zoom call as well?
Yes. So the students are going to be on Zoom, the alumni and all the other people from, the university and everybody else otherwise
Right.
will be,
Makes
um,
sense.
yeah, on the YouTube. Okay. I think we'll let students join and we'll begin. So hello everyone connected with us today on Zoom and YouTube. Welcome to the webinar brought to you by Sunstone University. I am Harmeet Sahdev, your host and host for the day. I bring amazing interactive webinars from Sunstone University exclusively and solely for you guys. Sunstone University is India's only B school that provides revolutionary pay after placement MBA, PGDM, and BBM programs for determined career aspirants to live their dreams. We partner with 19 leading campuses of India. Sooner or later, Sunstone University will be in your city too. So stay tuned and keep following us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter to get the latest updates. Sunstone University invests in its students' career, takes full accountability of your career, provides education that works for you, and reduces the financial burden of paying such a high fee for a management program. Our lovely audience connected with us over Zoom and YouTube is requested to drop all your questions in the chat section about interviews and facing interviews, and we will take them to our guest speaker. Today's webinar is a very special one. We have a special guest with us today. He is a social worker. Yes, a young youth icon, a social worker. Milind Chanwani, founder and CEO, Camp Diaries. Hi, Milind. Welcome to the webinar.
Hi, Harmeet. Thank you.
Talking a little about Milind, Milind has about 10 years of experience in the social sector, IT sector, and education sector. He started his career with Infosys as senior software engineer. He has worked with IT school, certain assistant school leader, where he managed complete school operations, right from the recruitment and training of teachers to government or donor relations. He was also the Teach India Fellow in a government school in Hyderabad. He is the founder of the very noble NGO Camp Diaries, which provides an opportunity to students to learn various extracurricular and co-curricular skills to become independent learners and live their dreams. Camp Diaries enables children from the lower income communities to learn various extracurricular and co-curricular skills such as coding, public speaking, dance, guitar, and many other things. Through his social venture, Camp Diaries, Milind has impacted close to 8,000 students across 10 cities in India with the support of 2,500 plus volunteers. Milind is also working on an employment project for women to support women to earn for their families in three ways: entrepreneurship, jobs, and home based product creation. This project will be piloted in July with 13 women from lower income communities. Oh my God, Milind, welcome to the webinar. Such great achievements at such a young age. That is so inspiring for all our students.
Thanks, Harmeet. Just a small correction. I don't have a 10-year-long career. I'm a little younger than that.
Okay.
So I have
Oh
a
my God.
7.5 year long career.
7.5
Little.
is still quite a lot for the students who want to be. I have seen students saying कि मुझे पैसा कमाना है, मुझे आगे बढ़ना है, but then there are people like you who want to do something for the society, who want to grow with everybody, and that is something so inspiring to see for young leaders like you, right?
Right. I mean, to each their own, right? A lot of people can't make the sacrifices, unfortunately, due to their life circumstances. For some
Right.
of us who have the privilege of opting out of a job or opting out of an MBA, we do that. But not
Right.
everyone can. For a lot of people, they are the sole breadwinners for the family, or their family is not in a great shape and they need to be there. So I think it's okay as some of us make the sacrifices because we are privileged, and the others, maybe they should just volunteer and do it in their free time.
Right, right. Also, I'm sure that needs no introduction to the students. All on YouTube and Zoom that you were also part of MTV Roadies Real Heroes,
Mm.
and you were invited as a real hero on the show because of the social activities and such a great buzz you've created there. How was that journey like, Milind? To just begin with the question answers.
Um, it was a phenomenal journey. So I never watched the show before I was invited. And as almost everyone else in India, the image that the show has in everyone's head is not very positive. So
Right,
so when I was reached out, I thought, oh wait, but this does not fit into my career plans, or it does not go with what I do in life. And that made me subconsciously judge the entire thing and think about it. But then my elder brother, who happens to be the smartest person I know, he told me that, Milind, you have right now impacted what, 4 5,000 students. If you just go on this show, you might end up adding zeros at the end of that. That's how much reach you will get. From 5,000, it'll suddenly become 50,000, and you won't even realize how, because that's the kind of reach this show has. And it was for the reach that I went. But once I went there, my biases gradually started breaking down. I had a bias that only people who just don't want to do anything else go on the show. Completely untrue. Some phenomenal people were on the show. There were other real heroes and the other contestants, each of them a master of their own art. The gang leaders or celebrities, as most people would know them, Neha Dhupia, Ran Vijay, and everyone else, such grounded, humble people constantly offering help for your work. When that happens, a lot of your biases keep breaking down. You realize that
right,
everyone cares about the society, and everyone cares about the people who are trying to contribute to the society. So all of them have been
right.
phenomenally supportive even after the show. Nikhil Chinappa almost became a mentor and a friend, and he still regularly catches up about Camp Diaries and everything else. So I personally loved the experience of being on the show despite of my initial apprehensions. I think it's one of the best decisions I could have ever made, and I just wish everyone else could look at roadies from my angle now and realize that
Right,
they are trying to change the youth one show at a time. This the last year, the category was revolution. So they
right.
again brought in people from the society who are making a change, and they again got them on the show just to inspire the youth and tell the youth that this is also a way to live life. You don't necessarily just have to, just loiter around, or give worry about just your looks, and
Yeah.
everything else you can do more.
Right, right, right. So, Milind, as discussed, talking about revolution, talking about change in the society,
Hmm.
we as an institute, we want to make education accountable. We want to make sure that जो MBA जिसमें 15 से 20 लाख रुपए खर्चा होते हैं बच्चों के, we want to make sure that they students just get enrolled with us, give a token amount, and for 2 years we train them, we take accountability of students' career,
Hmm.
and and we groom them entirely. And grooming का एक बहुत बड़ा part है interviews, right? Coming back to the topic of the webinar, interviews are I think the most important thing. जो ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट जो हमारी टीम है, हमारी जो CRC कॉर्पोरेट रिलेशंस टीम है, they
Hmm.
get in touch with the faculties. We make sure that we give them rigorous training. And today we're just going to talk about interviews as a bunch and as a whole, right? So should I begin with the question answer session?
Hit me.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what should be the structure strategy that every student should follow, Milind? You being, such a young achiever, ऐसा कोई structure या strategy है जो question answers face करते वक्त बच्चों को follow करना चाहिए?
Hmm. That's a good question. So when an interviewer asks you a question, the first thing you need to know is that this person knows what they are doing. They are not there just for the heck of it. If they have a question, there is an intention. So if they are asking you, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what is this, tell me about this particular query, etc. Um, every minute that they're going to spend on you is an investment for them. So to begin with, knowing that, um, why is the interview asking me this question is extremely necessary, because that is what will guide your entire process and every question answer. Because when you understand that this is important for them, every question matters, then you're not going to bicker about questions like what are your weaknesses. Like a lot of people just
Right.
bicker about it. Okay, why
Yeah.
do they want to know this, right? But no, they have a reason and you will figure it out. So an ideal way, the way I structure my answers to any question is, I always summarize the question first and opening to kind of check if I got the question right. uh, I give the person an opportunity to correct me, because what if I just start answering something absolutely different. So I give
Right.
them the chance. So opening, then I answer with evidence. Random theory, random gyan anyone can give, and that's not worth it. That's not worth the interviewer's time either. If you have a point, please back it up with evidence. Only then the interviewer is looking at you seriously. In fact, if the evidence is connected to the industry that you're interviewing for, even better if it's connected to the company that you're interviewing with,
Right.
that's like four aces altogether. Now, this is where a lot of people think the job is done. Well, the job is half done, because a lot of people, the moment their answer is completed, they say, that's it, sir. Now, that's a big goof up. Wrap it up. The person deserves to hear that one line from you, where you say something like, um, so, according to me, these are the three facets that make an individual a better leader. And if you don't wrap it up really well, then the interviewer is left thinking that in a meeting, will he summarize the points really well or not? So it's all connected, right? Please give them the benefit of doubt as to they have a rationale before asking behind asking the questions, and open it well, summarize the question, answer with evidence, wrap it up. The way I just summarized the whole thing.
Right. Thank you so much. My second question is, that's an amazing example of showing students how to wrap it up though. Second question is, what mistakes do the candidates generally make in front of the recruiters? I mean, is there any mistake point one, two, three जो होता ही होता है और इसको हम avoid कर सकते हैं?
Of course. There are a thousand of them. The one few that I can think of at the top of my mind would be senseless chit chat. A lot of us think informal chit chat helps. Just walking into the interview and be like, "Hi, sir. Lovely weather outside, right?" etc. I'm not entirely sure if that's how you want to make your case. Just they are time bound and respect that. um, One thing that does not go well with interviewers, I have been an interviewer, by the way. I run my own NGO and I have 5 employees. One thing that does not go well with anyone is when the person is overestimating their ability and absolutely cannot take criticism. These two things are
Okay.
different, but they are connected. When someone overestimates their ability, they cannot see something going wrong with their ability, and hence two are connected, but two very different things. And then a
So
lot of
that shows
times.
that the person cannot take feedback in future, right?
Correct. So you connect it with that. Another not so great thing a lot of us end up doing, not freshers, but people who have worked, is we bat mouth the previous employer, right? We go ahead and
Hmm.
say, अरे सर वो बहुत काम कराते थे, दिन में सोने सोने का टाइम नहीं मिलता था, इसलिए वो नौकरी छोड़ के आपके पास आना है. That doesn't work. You cannot
Yeah.
be bat mouthing your previous employer. You cannot be getting too personal. You cannot you cannot ask presumptuous questions. So a lot of us try to act smart. We say, okay, खत्म हो रहा है interview, so sir, पक्का समझूं मैं? And no, that doesn't work. That's basically
Yeah.
not making your case. It shows your
Yeah.
lack of patience again. So these
Correct.
are basic things. There are a lot of others, but these are the ones that I can think of. So senseless chit chat, overestimating yourself, not taking criticism well, asking presumptuous questions, bad mouthing your employer, not having questions, and maybe getting too personal.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Milind. That summarizes it so well. My next question is, what should be the focus point while answering the questions pointed towards weaknesses? ये बहुत common question है, Milind, कि talk about your weakness. आपकी weakness क्या है? इसका actual answer क्या होना चाहिए?
Right. Hmm. So to begin with, all of us should first reflect upon why does a person ask me about my weaknesses? They are trying to see if I'm self-aware. They are trying to see if I'm honest. They are trying to see if my emotional quotient is in place, that I'm able to emotionally indulge with my abilities and understand where the gap is. And if I'm capable of self improvement, right? These are the three, four things that the interviewer is trying to assess when they ask you the weakness question. So it is not a random question. Now, your answer should not be what most people think it should be. What do most people do? Sir, my weakness is that I work too hard. Sir, my weakness is that I cannot balance my personal and professional life, so I work too much. Sir, my weakness is that I work so much, my employees get my co-fellows get jealous of me. Uh, no, people think they need to sell other strengths in the form of weaknesses. That's not it. What you need to do is first of all understand what are the most important factors of this job. What is mandatory skills that you need to have for this job? There might be three, four, five, six. If it's a delivery job, then maybe customer presence and everything else. If it's a call center job, then maybe how do you speak? Can you summarize well? Can you take queries? Can you problem solve? Once you have listed down what are the skills needed for the job, any other skill apart from this can be a weakness, because the employer doesn't care anymore. They care as long as you have the job skills and the teamwork skills and everything else. Anything else outside of this, but again, you don't need to fake it. You need to reflect upon what are a few problems that I face, why do I face them, can I sense a weakness somewhere, identify those five six weaknesses and keep them ready. But you don't give each weakness a different place. You go ahead and identify which weakness can fit in here well. Here, this weakness will not weaken my case for this job interview. That's the weakness you give. You don't say I work too hard. No.
Absolutely. I have seen students saying this: I work too hard, I am overworking. Yeah, just like you said, other colleagues of mine, they get jealous of me. I think these are very, very common things which we hear usually. And then I've seen people applying for a job for operations and finance and then saying, मुझे time management की problem है. I mean, hell no. That is something which the recruiter does not want to hear, right?
Right.
So, my next question is, when asked to do a cross question, what should be the ideal question to the recruiter? हमने थोड़ी देर पहले आपने बोला है कि पक्का समझू तो नहीं पूछ सकते, definitely not. तो क्या पूछ सकते हैं recruiter को? बोले,
Hmm. So you mean at the end of the interview when the
yeah, yeah.
interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for
Any
me?"
question? Yeah.
Right. That's a big gap. So I'll relate this question and I'll put this point in your second question where you asked what not to do in an interview. Um, do not forget to ask a question. Like, do not skip this. When the interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for me?" it is an opportunity for you to fill a lot of gaps. You can show this interviewer that you care about the job. You can show that you care about the organization. You can show you care about the environment, anything. Show them you care about something. So you can ask questions related to the growth of the organization, growth of this particular role. So you can ask questions that are role related. You can ask questions that are organization related. You can ask questions that are culture of the organization related. You can maybe even try to do a trial close. Something that I told in question 2 was, um, don't ask sir pakka samjhu, but you can ask things like, in a subtle way, things like, sir, are there any hurdles that you see in my fit in this company? If yes, can I work upon them? Right. So when you ask that, you might actually get your answer. You might actually get what employer is actually thinking. Worst case scenario, if you realize that the employer is not going to take you, you are going to leave with the biggest gold that could have come out of that interview, a precious feedback. You would know what not to do in the next one. So yeah, when the person asks you to ask a question, please ask a question.
Right. Having said that, my fifth question, Milind, to you is, when recruiters ask, why should I hire you? What are they wanting to hear from the candidate?
Right. So why does the person want to know why should I hire you, right? They're trying to again see self-awareness. Are you aware of your strengths and what you bring to the table and how that fits in, right? These are the three questions the interviewer wants to know. um, they ask this because what you say is what they will be testing you upon through the interview, or they may already have tested you upon those things in the interview, and now they are going to assess if you are actually telling the truth. So you basically, in the process of answering this question, you need to convince the person that you can do the work, right? So why should I hire you? Your answer should be things that convince this person that this is why you should hire me. I can do the work, I can fit into the culture, I can add value, which means I can take ownership of things, and most importantly, the person should realize by the end of this answer that this person is not going to look bad in the future for recruiting you. Right. If a person is investing time in you and is acting as your recruiter, it also goes on their um, page that this person recruited X. Now, when X goofs up in the company, it comes to this person, and this person says, dude, I thought he was a great candidate. I don't know what happened. Right. So the person is asking you this question because they want to ensure that they are not missing out on some a skill that you might possess. Vice versa, they also want to ensure that whatever you are saying, is it even reflecting during the interview process. Yeah.
Right, right. Milind, you being, a youth icon and a co-founder at such a young age, what are the five things as a recruiter you see? And I think, for that matter of fact, what are the five things every recruiter sees in a candidate? Top skills.
Five skills that a
Five.
recruiter
Yeah,
sees.
yeah, yeah.
It's a very generic answer, to be honest. See, I want you all, whoever is listening to the call, just think about 5 years back and think about the roles that you had heard of. And did product manager fit in there? Did project manager fit in there? Never heard of these roles 5 years back. But suddenly, not only did these roles come into the picture, everyone wants these roles for some reason. So 5 years down the line, you don't know what roles will exist. But what will exist are the skills. What will exist is what you have learned during your education, during your next work, during your projects, during your internships and job. Now, hence the skills that you need to work upon, and in a very uh, quantitative manner, you need to be able to quantify that I possess this skill. And here is how much I think I possess the skill, like a 4 on 5 or a 5 on 5. So, critical thinking, problem solving being the top of it. No matter which job you are in, everyone wants a person who can think on their feet. Everyone wants a person who can solve petty problems without bothering the supervisor over and over again. Now everyone wants a team player, so teamwork or collaboration, that's a skill that you absolutely cannot miss out on. If you think you're not a team player, and if you take pride in saying I'm a loner, I work alone, maybe that's not going to work out very well for you. Work upon it. Maybe volunteer with an NGO and work with people there. Maybe that will help you show that you're a team player. Professionalism, or like a work ethic, right? A strong work ethic, that's another skill that you need to possess. Just showing them that you are a professional. You're not going to be immature about things. You're not going to um, randomly land into a client meeting in shorts, something as simple as that. um, Another thing that they want to see is, can you speak well, can you write well? And every skill that I've mentioned so far, all of them are workable. Now anyone out there who's listening to this and thinking, Arey yaar, but I see, that's my problem. I can't speak very well. That's an excuse. I believe me, if you met me 7 8 years back, I used to shiver when I had to speak in front of people. Well, I was always a well-spoken person, but I used to shiver because I wasn't confident at all. It takes practice, effort, and knowing what you have to say to be able to be confident that right now in this interview, I don't know what Harmeet is going to ask me next, but I'm okay answering that anyway. I don't know if I'm adding value either, but I feel like I am, so I'm just going to go ahead and be confident about it anyway. So every skill that I'm saying is buildable, is workable, and you cannot have an excuse for not possessing it. And the last one being leadership, right? So critical thinking, teamwork, professionalism, writing or reading or speaking skills and leadership. Everyone cares about this. It doesn't just because I said leadership skills doesn't mean you have to be a leader, but you need to possess the skill. What if you get another person to work under you? How long? If I am employing you, I'm not looking at you as a temporary person. I'm looking at you as a person whom I might employ for 20 years. If I'm going to employ you for 20 years, at some point I'm going to put someone under you, and then are you a leader? Can you get work done out of them? So yeah, that.
Absolutely. And definitely you're adding value to all the answers, Milind. Just to add that, right? My next question is, how can freshers take advantage of this lockdown and COVID situation? Because I've seen students saying, "Ma'am, COVID में ना बहुत boring हो गया है. Ma'am, कुछ सीखने का नहीं है, कुछ कर नहीं सकते." So how can one convert this pandemic situation into an opportunistic one? Well,
Hmm. So I disagree with people who say ma'am kuch karne ko nahi hai, because when the pandemic started and in the first month when suddenly our jobs came to a halt and we weren't sure what life would be like, I read 23 books in that 1 month. I lost 5 kgs in that 1 month, and I did everything else I could. I helped because there were no house helps allowed to come. So I did cooking with my family. I cleaned the house with my family. The point is, there is enough to do, and there's enough to learn out of everything you do. So, so believe me, in this time, if you're not investing in yourself, that is the biggest crime you might be committing. Not giving yourself importance enough to say that I deserve to grow. I deserve to be given this time in which I am going to acquire these 20 skills by the end of the pandemic. And when I come out of the pandemic, I am going to be a brand new person. So, reading books, doing courses online, interning with as many organizations as possible, volunteering, helping people around, these are things that add value to you as an individual and to your resume when you present it in front of anyone. So, um, take advantage of the downtime. I mean, not a lot of us are blessed enough to get this downtime. If some of you are, if some of you are not working right now or are unable to find work, um, there is always a half glass full situation, and maybe that's how you need to look at it. That I get it, I'm not getting work, but can I at least build enough that tomorrow, if something were to repeat, a pandemic were to come again, I should be the most employable person in that room. So
right,
that.
right, right. How much do grades matter, Milind? And what about the students, who are very great at extracurricular activities, but not that great with grades? How do such situations, to cope up with in an interview?
Hmm. All right. So, whoever is listening, I am studying at IIM Ahmedabad right now. It is the best school in the country. Today, a ranking came out, which also proves it. Uh, my 10th, 12th, and graduations are all sevens, except one eight. So, 877. Now a lot of employers are a lot of people out there wouldn't believe that then with this score it's even possible to be studying in this college or do anything out there. But then again, my CAT scores were 99.5 percentile. My GMAT score was 720. As they say, you might have bad academics from the past, but if you still have bad academics, then how does the recruiter believe that you are capable of any better? But if you have one spike also in your academic profile to prove that, listen, this is what I'm capable of when I'm at my best, then the recruiter is listening to you. So academics matter, but not so much that you will be thrown out of the room. Once you are in the room, you have as much chance as anyone else of cracking that interview. But if you already know that there are 10 people getting this interview and 10 of them have an average of 85% in everything, and you have an average of 67, that 18% you need to make up in your interview. And that needs to come across. And that 68% average can be there, but there has to be 185 or 90 there to just show it to the recruiter that I am not a person who constantly, consistently performs not so great. I perform great when everything is right, but yeah, there were goof ups. I understand. I accept. I take ownership of what happened, but look here, when I was taking ownership of this, it worked in my favor. So that's what I would say about grades.
Right, right. Share some tips on how MBA aspirants or job aspirants can catch the eye of the recruiter.
Eye of the recruiter, as in where? On LinkedIn or
As
in
in
your
terms of,
CV?
on in an interview, in the CV, or the first impression, anything that you feel that can
Right,
catch an eye of
right.
the interviewer.
Um, so you need to catch someone's eye in a country where every year more than 2 million graduates come out. You really need to stand out. You really need to have your own personality. As much as our education system has been enforcing the same box mentality on everyone, it's your job to stand out. It's your job to go and learn dance. It's your job to go and learn coding, even if you are learning economics. It's your job to go that extra mile and volunteer at an NGO to show that you care, and not just to show that you care, to actually make yourself realize that you are amazing. Believe me, to stand out, you need to feel like you stand out. Unless you feel it, there is nothing you can do to convince a recruiter that you stand out. How much will you fake? These people are experienced personnel. They have done it for years. At some point they're going to catch that this person is not genuine, and that's the worst thing you can do in an interview. Be genuine. So to be genuine and yet stand out, you actually need to believe that you are special. Again, that doesn't mean overconfidence. That doesn't mean you go ahead and say, "अरे मैं best हूँ, मैं अपनी favorite हूँ," as
Yeah,
Kareena Kapoor said it in Jab We Met, right? No, you need to realize that
right.
this is what you bring to the table, that someone else might as well, but you are going to be at least as good as them. So if you are good at math, then you need to know that if there are 10 people in that team, you should be at least in the top 3. Right? Then you sell math as your skill. You need to stand out some way. You need to show that I have cracked so many hackathons. I have cracked so many. If you think running is your thing, I have ran X number of marathons. If you think social work is your thing, I have impacted 300 children with the help of this. I have raised 3 lakh rupees, etc. Prove it to the employer that you work and you matter. So that's how you stand out. I'm not
Right.
entirely
So
sure how to
I
answer
think
this.
so I think every person, every individual knows उनकी weak points क्या है और उनके strong points क्या है.
Yeah.
And to do something for the society, do something for yourself, and to highlight that in the right way.
Mhm.
Absolutely there with you. Next question is of this is a very tricky question. I think most of the students were like, "Ma'am, ye please पूछना." So I'm like, a fresher doesn't have any work experience. Yet,
Right,
how can he or she be an ideal candidate?
right. Well, that's a vicious circle, right? You don't have experience, hence we can't give you this job. But we can't give you this job because you don't have experience. It's like a vicious circle. I spoke about skills a little while back, and you don't need a job to prove that you have skills. Internships are enough. Volunteering is enough. College fests are enough. College committees are enough to prove that you have certain skills, such as the 5 skills that I mentioned above: communication, teamwork, um, I forgot, but critical thinking, professionalism. All of these skills can be proven without any work experience. You just need to tie your story really well. You need to explain them that, listen, you need someone who's going to be a hard worker. Here is a proof that I am. And it's not from an organization, it's from my college, but it's not lesser a proof. Please believe this. Then the person is going to be like, okay, but I need a team player. Here is a proof that I'm a team player. I organized this fest with these 20 people, and this is how we succeeded. And these are a few issues that we faced, but this is how we overpowered the issues. Or oral or written communication. Oral, you can prove it during the interview. Written communication, maybe with your CV. keep your CV spick and span. Keep the action words at their place. Make your CV look like it is supposed to. That's how you make this person believe that if he cares enough about the CV, then he's going to care enough about another writing that I want him to do in his work office, right? Leadership, show when you took ownership at your college or anywhere else. Intern as much as you can. Sometimes they are going to be unpaid as well. A lot, not every employer out there is kind enough. A lot of them feel like they're doing you a favor by giving you an internship. Partially that's true. I don't agree with that culture of not being paid for an internship, but it's okay sometimes. Sometimes that's a sacrifice that you need to make to get that certificate from an organization which is a top organization saying that this person worked with us for 2 months and these are his skills. And I think that's going to make you stand out as a fresher. But believe me, a lot of people are keen on recruiting freshers. Just for you to know, McKinsey, BCG, and a lot of other top four consulting firms, they don't recruit people my age. They want freshers. They want to give people who have the energy still in them the chance to, work harder than everyone else. So a lot of people out there are willing to invest in training you and ensuring that you grow with the organization, but you need to show them the intent. You need to show that you mean well and you are there for the long term.
Right.
In the culture today where we go from one company to the other, one startup to the other in 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, 1.5 year, you need to prove that you're not gonna do that. Later on, if you have to, fair enough, but that's still not the right thing to do. Try to stay at a place for a little while because that teaches you something. But if you have to change, but don't let this person believe that you're there for like five months or 6 months.
Right, right. How much of an MBA changes a personality in a student, Milind?
Well, significantly, right? All the subjects that are taught in an MBA, the professors who have life skills, who have actually worked on projects themselves outside in all the biggest companies, they are there to come teach you. They have done extensive research. MBA, so it's been 1.5 months of my MBA at IIM Ahmedabad. I feel so much more learned than I did 1.5 months back. I have learned so much about operations, so much about finance, so much about microeconomics. I understood why are the farmers protesting and what exactly is the microeconomics angle of giving subsidy to the farmers, or what exactly is a particular organization doing to increase their share price or decrease their share price in the terms of balance sheet or accounting. You learn so much, but more than that, you make you make a network that literally is going to be with you for life. So the 100 people, the 200 people, 400 people that you're going to study with, or 1,000, um, these people are absolutely never going to say no to pushing your profile to an employer. Some of them might, they might be spiteful, but most of them won't. They would need to give you that push. So imagine you suddenly have 1,000 people in 1,000 different companies willing to push your resume to another person. That's a big win-win for anyone who does an MBA. Skills, you learn so much because you constantly work in teams. You're doing a project in one team, then you're doing another project in another team, then you're in a committee where you're working with a different team, then you're organizing a fest where you're working with an entirely different team. Imagine the kind of people that you'll be working with. And there is a reason why employers like MBAs. They know that they are working with enough people to be able to work in teams. They know they are solving enough problems to be able to come solve problems. And if your MBA college teaches case studies, then you are literally solving problems that were real for companies and then discussing it with your professors. MBA teaches you a hell lot.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Milind. I think they were really just like you said, you did provide a lot of value addition to the answers and facing interviews. And now it's time for me to invite Sonia Jaitley. She is a Milind AVP Training and Development Sunstone University, a lively and enthusiastic trainer. Sonia has 18 plus years of experience in training and development and people
Wow.
management. She has worked with organizations like Hutch, Airtel, Wipro, Idea, Titan, Oriental Bank of Commerce, Delhi Police, to name a few. Sonia
Right.
is a psychotherapist by qualification and also holds the distinction of being a certified posture trainer. Sonia, hi, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, Harmeet, thank you so much for having me here. And Milind, it was there was a smile plastered on my face to hear you speak, because I just wish that, the students are taking back all the important pointers that you have been kind enough to share. So yes, and once again, welcome and thanks for doing this for our students today.
Thank you, Sonia.
Yes.
What are we doing? Are we doing an activity?
We are doing an activity today. Sonia ma'am, over to you.
All right. So, Milind, you have had Harmeet ask you a lot of questions, and that's the theme today, interviews, right? So, I'm going to be doing this game with you guys, which I like to call Jaldi 5. All right.
Okay.
So, I also have some questions for you, and Harmeet, you get to play on this as well.
So for a change, I'll be answering. Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to be asking you guys, I'm going to throw a question out there, and you have to, without taking too much time, you have to, give me the answer. Now, this is a buzzer round. And the catch is we don't have a buzzer. So guess what? You're going to have to improvise. So I am not going to accept any answer unless you do ting ting. So you have to do ting ting. You have to say ting ting out loud. Yes, I know. You're going to have to do that. All right.
Okay.
So those are the rules. And then you give me the answer. So the funniest, the wittiest answers, of course, goes to win the Jaldi 5. Okay. So for the prizes, you're going to have to contact Harmeet, right? So Milind, you have to check in on with her later on. All right. So are we ready, guys?
Right.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Good
okay.
to go.
All right. All the best. So the first one coming your way. Describe the color yellow to someone who is visually challenged.
Ting ting.
Yes, go for it.
I just did the ting ting. I didn't think it through. but
ting ting.
Okay, that's a bummer. All right. Question passes to Harmeet. Harmeet, go for it.
Okay. Something bright that makes you feel lively, happy, and something that motivates you, pumps you up. That's yellow for me, to a blind person.
That's amazing.
That's a wonderful answer. Let's go back to Milind. Milind, you want to give it a go once more?
Well, I initially started to connect it with sun and then sunflower, and then I thought, wait, but they haven't seen that either. So I don't want to give it a shot. I still haven't thought it through.
But I think the sun would be a great place to start with, because sunshine is something which is sensorial, and probably the community has felt it, so that could give them a semblance. So guys, I'm going to be asking Milind and Harmeet a set of questions which you may not typically think that it is questions that are asked in the interview. But guess what? More and more recruiters are now moving to this kind of question, this line of questioning, because it puts the candidate on spot, right? So trust me, this is a question that is frequently used by recruiters these days to put the candidate on spot, and also to judge how quickly can you bounce back from a situation that you were not expecting, right? So this was a very good one. Okay, going to the next one. Buzzers ready? Okay. If you were a tree, which one would you be? That's the question. Go for it.
Ting ting.
Okay. Yeah,
yes, tell me.
I would be a mango tree, supplying the best fruit to everyone around me, and in the process feeling happy when I see them enjoy it. So that's my relation to the work that I do, just giving opportunities to the underprivileged children, and then looking at them do it and then enjoying.
That is a perfect answer. And students, you want to understand why is that a perfect answer? Let me break it up for you. What Milind actually did was he took that opportunity and tied it beautifully with competencies that he portrayed to the recruiter. So he spoke about the fact that he wants to be a fruit-bearing tree, which is very nice, that it is something that can be used by society at large. And at the end, he nicely summed it up with his experience that he comes from the social work background, and this is exactly the kind of work or the projects that he is going to be looking at. So you see,
beautiful background. Yeah.
Yes. And Milind, I absolutely understand where this is coming from, because I think one of the points you did make while you were having a conversation with Harmeet, that it is so important to sum it up. So I think, yes, that is exactly what you have managed to do. So kudos. I really like your answer. Harmeet, would you like to give it a shot?
I want to be a happy tree, because I feel that when you smile, everybody around you smiles. And me being from the media industry, I feel that when I smile, looking at you guys, I'm sure you guys also like it. If I dim down and be like this, nobody's going to watch me. So yeah, that's my summary.
So happy tree. I've heard about weeping willows. I haven't heard about happy willows, but to each its own. All right. Next question coming right to you. Okay. What is the color of money?
Ding, ding.
Yes, Milind, go for it.
Technically, money has no color until it takes a form. But when money takes a form, it could either be steel color in India in form of coins, or golden, or no color like Bitcoin, or green like the US currency, or pink like our 2000 rupee note. So money has no color. Money is just a concept.
Cool. That's really nice. Harmeet, give it a shot.
I think it is tangible. So I don't think money has a color. It is just in your head. Like, for example, if you have money in bank, you know that this is the amount of money I have. It doesn't have any color anymore from the time it's all got digital. That's what my perception is.
I agree with both of you. All great answers. The reason why do they ask such questions? Again, it's kind of a trick question, but it is to understand whether the candidate, kind of has a well-rounded view of the economy. The perfect answer to this one would be, well, the color of money, it depends on the country, right? Okay. So the next question coming to you guys. All right. Milind, let me ask you this question first. When is your birthday? When do you celebrate your birthday?
27th March.
27th March. So okay, so I'm going to keep that in mind. But no, I'm not going to give you a birthday gift because your birthday is all done. But still, because I'm so nice and good, I've decided to give you guys a present. Okay? Right. And it's going to be an unusual gift. So guess what? Let's say I have presented the both of you with a zebra. I've given you a zebra. But upon condition that you can't give it away, and you can't sell it. So Milind and Harmeet, what would you do with that zebra?
I would take it to the nearest forest.
No ting ting, no ting ting, no.
You can't give it away. You can't give it away. It's an unusual gift. Harmeet,
okay.
It will take me a long time to source a zebra for you, and you just want to. That's not right.
Sorry.
What would you do with the zebra?
Can we keep it on the terrace? No.
Parking a zebra on the terrace. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Okay, Milind, what about you? What would you do with such an unusual?
Ting, Milind.
Ting. So now that you have given me a zebra, I would understand that a zebra is not a domesticable animal, especially in the city or in an apartment. So I would try to find a home for that zebra, initially at a place where it can be free. But if I absolutely cannot do that, then probably in an area where Sonia just left us.
I think there was an internet. She's gone to the zebra.
So the zebra is still with us.
Yes, the zebra is still with us. Yeah, you can continue your answer.
No, my answer is done.
Your answer is done. I don't know. I think these are the kind of questions which even I have never been put into that spotlight with, Milind, these are very tricky questions. Like, what kind of a tree would you want to be? I have never felt that, okay, I can put myself into that spot and kind of
Yeah,
understand, right?
yeah.
I think this is what takes out the anxious behavior. Milind, what do you think? When a student is actually anxious, I've seen students telling me, "Ma'am, मेरे हाथ पैर कांप रहे हैं, ठंडे हो रहे हैं."
Hmm.
उस situation में क्या कर सकते हैं, Milind? Sonia's back.
Anxious.
Yeah, anxiousness.
So
Sonia, we were
I,
just talking about anxiousness before an interview. Yeah,
so
I'm
I,
sorry, guys. There was a power outage, so that
no
kind of
problem.
booted me out. I'm back though. Okay. So Milind was telling me that he would certainly find a secure place for the zebra. Yes. So again, guys, there is no right answer to this one. It is again a widely used question by many companies just to determine the creativity or how would you handle a situation that is unexpected or a difficult situation. Right? So great going, both of you. The next question coming to you is, all right, what would be your advice to your previous boss? What would be your advice to your previous boss?
Ting ting.
Yes, Milind, tell me.
My advice to my previous boss would be that when you are giving a feedback to anyone in the team, make sure it is a well-rounded feedback. It should be a constructive feedback to begin with, and it shouldn't just be feedback. It should also be surrounded with slight appreciation. He always gave me appreciation, but there were other people in the team who just felt unnoticed, and my suggestion would be make sure that you acknowledge the goods and then show them some of the areas of development and help them work on it. You can't just be like, hey, you need to work upon this. Help them reach that place, because you are the boss, you are the manager. Give them the action steps to build upon and reach that place.
Wonderful. Perfect. Harmeet, you want to add to this?
Yes. One advice to my previous boss would be,
I hope he's not listening in.
that's fine. I think it's important to give and take feedback both. I think it's important as a manager and as a person working with the manager, junior level. Everybody should be able to give and take feedback in a constructive way, just like Milind said. It's important for all of us to grow with the organization. So I feel it's important the organization is also growing, and simultaneously you're also growing with the organization. So yeah.
I tend to agree with you there, Harmeet, and of course, Milind. And to the students who are watching, I hope you took note to what these two actually did. So Milind spoke about the importance of being a leader, right? So it's easy to be a boss, but it is also important to be a leader. And who's a leader? What is the difference that we see between a boss and a leader? A boss is someone who just delegates, but a leader is someone who not only delegates, but also shows the way forward. So I think that was a very valid point. And of course, Harmeet pointed out that feedback is two-way, and when you are able to accept feedback, the process becomes 360. What is very important, students, that you have not heard anything negative from either Milind or Harmeet. So you will get to face these questions typically, after you have finished your first job towards an exit interview. So an exit interview is certainly not a rant session where you go off talking about the moment this question comes to you, what feedback would you like to give to your boss or now soon to be previous boss, and you go on a rant session. No, that is absolutely not an opportune thing to do. But yes, constructive feedback like Milind and Harmeet just shared is the way to go. So the last question to you guys. If there were to be a theme song for your life, and a theme song that would play every time you entered a room, what would that song be?
Ding ding.
Okay, Harmeet, you went for it first. Tell me.
Because I'm happy.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
It,
Yeah.
it requires no explanation, of course. Happy Harmeet, and that's our theme song. Okay, Milind, what about you?
For me, it would be "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey.
That's a
Don't
wonderful song.
stop
Wow.
believing. So yeah.
Wow.
So once again, this again is not a question that is out of the blue. Again, a lot of recruiters ask this question. Why? The answer is to get a little get a little insight into your headspace to understand whether you are a positive person. Do you have something that you can use or go to? A go-to place, a go-to song, a go-to theme every time you feel a little down. So this is something that they definitely ask to understand if you are self-motivated. So on that note,
Wow.
I don't think that we can stress this even more. We have a set of people right here, Harmeet and Milind. It was wonderful, having
Thank
this
you,
conversation
Sonia.
with you guys. So take care, and this was fun.
Thanks,
Thank
Sonia.
you.
That was a lot
Thank
of
you, Sonia.
fun. I learned a lot.
Same here. Same here. Thank
I'm
you.
glad.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Milind, this was a wonderful activity. And talking about anxious, the point where Sonia ma'am left us and
Mhm.
she came back, I asked about what about
Yeah.
students being anxious? कि
Yeah.
हाथ पैर कांप रहे हैं या बहुत nervousness लग रही है, उसको हम कैसे cope कर सकते हैं?
So I would like to replace the word anxious with nervousness, as you said later, because
Right.
anxiety is very heavy, and I don't think that we should start saying as such a simple term. But the best way to lose the anxiety is be prepared. A lot of us feel anxious because we are half prepared or three-fourth prepared or 90% prepared or 99% prepared, but we have left that one question or that one page or that one interview, and I do that as well. We feel anxious because we are not ready. Be ready, that's the only way. Otherwise, deal with the nervousness. So practice makes you perfect, right? So practice the interviews, do mock interviews with people, do your research, read enough about the company that you're interviewing for, understand the kind of interviews they take, practice mock interviews with the right set of people, take feedback, know something as small as knowing your way to the interview office makes a difference sometimes, because a lot of the times you left on time but you suddenly realize the office is located 5 kilometers in a different direction. Know who you're meeting, know about them, you know rationalize your fears, know that some fears are irrational, know that it's not like that person is there to just reject you, that person is not sitting there with the intention to say कि मिलिंद यार फालतू तूने मेरा time waste किया. नहीं, the person wants to get to know me, the person wants to invest his time in me and see if I might actually be a value add for the organization. So do that and maybe embrace some positive self talk, and give yourself some perspective that it's going to work out. If you are ready
Right.
and if you've worked hard, it's going to work out.
Right, right. So we'll take, I know we are running out of time, but we'll take just two questions from the audience. Govinda says, how can my answer differ from others? Govinda is here with us on Zoom. So Govinda says, मेरे answer कैसे दूसरों के answer से अलग हो सकते हैं? Milind.
The first question that I was asked is, how do you structure a response? I said you
Yeah.
structure a response by initially summarizing the person's question, then giving the answer with evidence. Now, where
Correct.
does that evidence come from? The evidence comes from your life experiences, your readings, your research, you. That evidence cannot be same for two people. The answer that you're going to give will also be not same for two people, but that might be similar. Evidence, on the other hand, is going to be 100% different. So as long as you're connecting it to the evidence, you're going to do phenomenally well, because the person knows that you don't know just theory, you know application.
Right, right, right. So that is how I hope, Govinda, we could answer your question. You can actually, just like Milind said, you have to put experiences, anecdotes, evidences as evidences, or सबका experience तो अलग ही होता है. So that is how you are going to be different, right? Next question is from Sumit. Sumit says, how has the recruitment trends changed according to you, Milind, in the last 1 decade?
I think I answered something partially a little earlier, that 5 years back, the jobs that did not exist are the jobs that everyone aspires for today. So the recruitment has like turned around 180 degrees, because even recruiters are now trying to figure out what exactly should my process be to be able to gauge this person on a particular skill. It's become a lot more skill based now. It's not as much like earlier. It was just technical, right? Now they are breaking it up. As Sonia 2 minutes back, took us through these dynamic questions, which you don't expect to be asked in an interview, but they are still reflecting some part of your personality. Such things are what uh, is what is new to the recruitment structure. There are like 3 4 5 interviews, and each of them serves a different purpose in a different organization. And I think people are trying to be a lot more objective about this. Earlier it was very feel based, कि यार ये बंदा बहुत मस्त लग रहा है, इसको ले लेते हैं. Now they are trying to be objective. They are saying मस्त तो लग रहा है, fair enough, but what is the skill that I see this skill, I see this skill, I don't see this skill. Can I test him more on this skill for one more interview and then recruit him? Or can I take him on probation and ensure that this skill is seen? If not, then we will ask him to leave. So I feel like it's become a lot more skill based now.
Right, right. So, lastly, we've come towards the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Milind, for joining us today. Milind, my last question absolutely is Sunstone University believes in hashtag education that works, takes the accountability of its students' career and reduces the financial burden of the students. Other B schools demand 15 to 20 lakhs and do not give the guarantee of placement as well. Sunstone University, on the other hand, reduces the gap and takes the accountability of a student's career, making them placed. So, what are your views on our model?
Right. So according to me, I find it very encouraging for any student who has not been able to crack something like an IIM right now and wants to still pursue something. It gives me the vibe that I wouldn't have to worry about the one thing that I worry about, which is the job after MBA. And this is without paying the fee. So it certainly seems like something that might add value to a lot of people's lives, and you know ensure that they are placed at least once. And to place them, you can't be forcing the placements, you will have to train them, which means you are putting in that much effort into training every child or every student. And even if the first job isn't the job they were looking for, your training is going to take them a long way. And I think that uh, is a very credible thing in the entire process.
Right. Thank you so much, Milind, for joining us today. Any one message to all these students and young minds? Any last token of message from your side, Milind, to them?
Any last message? There's 40 of them here. How many are there on YouTube?
I have to check with the team. I think around the same number or
Right.
more. Yeah.
So whatever 80 to 100 people who are listening to me, my humble request would be, it's a small life. Try to live it and not just exist. And by living, I mean ensure that you're doing as much as you can for yourself, your family, and others. Now, yourself would be self growth, constantly working on your three sectors, right? Professional, personal, and financial. You need to keep working on these three segments for your life. Then, your family's life, you need to keep working with your parents, help them grow with you, or your siblings or your partner. And the third part, which I said, was others. Make sure
Yeah.
you're giving back to the community in some way. All of us make excuses for not volunteering, and believe me, not one of them is valid. If you're not volunteering, that is the worst thing you can do to your country, because you have the time and you have the ability that a lot of people would do anything for, and you're choosing not to give your free time to someone in need. and choosing to watch another movie on Netflix, or choosing to go and chill with your friends, or choosing to spend late night hours. It's okay to do that as well. But can you balance it out is the largest question. And while you are at it, you will gradually start realizing that personal growth is just as important, family growth is just as important as is the society's growth, because you and your family are going to go interact with that society outside eventually. And when a person who's going to snatch your pocket comes across your way and is maybe your child's age 10 years down the line, and all you're going to think is kaisi parvarish hai, well, guess what, you could have volunteered at an orphanage and given him that parvarish. So I would humbly request you guys to give back, not just to the society, to yourself, to the family, but to the society as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Milind, for joining us today. And to all the viewers on YouTube and Zoom, you can also be a donor or a volunteer with Camp Diaries. To become a fundraiser for Camp Diaries and do a bit on your part for this noble cause, click on the link shared on the chat. There is a chat. There's a link on the chat on YouTube and on Zoom. Please click on the link and contribute to the society. Thank you so much. On that note, we come towards the end of today's webinar. It was wonderful interacting with all of you, and of course with Milind, who gave his insights on how to face an interview. And of course, thank you, Sonia ma'am, for joining us today as well. So this is for all the viewers. We'll be coming with a lot of insightful webinars every week like we do. So stay tuned and we will meet again. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that right away. And don't forget to follow Sandstone University's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn handles for all the updates for amazing videos, content that can help you enhance your skills and grow in your career. Thank you for joining us again. This is me, Harmeet, signing off. Thank you, Milind, for joining us.
Thank you, Harmeet. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.